What's up, guys? I know we already made one video talking about AI and your business, but this one's going to be a little bit more specific than that one. And if you're not using AI or ChatGPT for these items, at least in your business, then you're missing out on revenue streams, time, positioning, everything. I can't tell you how much integrating these three main things into my life and into my business have helped me streamline everything that we do. First one's going to be writing estimates. Everybody writes estimates differently. Some people do something through some type of protocol or through some program. Some people use a stubby pencil and handwrite everything out. I used to do it that way also and write everything out, and then I'd write it on a piece of paper, figure it all out, type it all up, send it in, and then someone in the office would, back in the day, I would convert it into QuickBooks and send it out. But now I don't have to do any of that. Now, super easy. I can take a jumbled mess of words that make absolutely no sense, really, and get a clear, concise estimate from ChatGPT. I'm going to throw it over to the screen grab here, and I'm going to start typing in here just random things. This is what we're going to do. We're going to say, I need an estimate for replacing. I'm not even going to spell everything correctly. It's like magic. I'm telling you, this is crazy. I need an estimate for replacing a ceiling fan and adding a new light switch cover. Also, new towel bar in the bathroom and hall. Please make it line item with mid-grade pricing. Now, like I said, we made another video where I broke down how communicating with ChatGPT and giving it all your inputs and telling it all the information about your business makes it work much more streamlined and much more easy. So you got a labor, low, high, ceiling fan costs, clarifications. It gives you everything. So then there's all the information I need from what those three little lines that I typed. Now I'm going to say, thanks. Give me a paragraph form 4-line estimate. Just like that, types it up. This estimate includes removal of existing ceiling fan and installation of new mid-grade ceiling fans using existing wiring and mounting location, along with testing and final setup. It also covers replacement of standard light switch cover with new mid-grade cover plate, installation of new mid-grade towel bar in the hall bathroom using appropriate anchors. All pricing reflects typical grade materials and standard labor for residential setting. The estimated total for this scope of work falls in the $750 to $900 range. So now all I got to do is copy and paste this into my email body, change the pricing to whatever my pricing is going to be. Bam, estimate's done, just like that. Minute and a half, I turned 3 jumbled sentences into a fully formed, concise estimate that you can send out and feel good about. The more information you give ChatGPT, full disclosure, this laptop that I'm typing on is my editor's laptop. It's not my computer that I use at my desk at work. So it doesn't actually have all of my information in it. But even what it gave me is still perfect. And I know from experience exactly what this should cost. So I know that range is pretty close to right. And I can just change the price and send it out. All right. So that's estimates. Very important. I don't know. At my company, we do anywhere from 6 to 10 estimates a day. And being able to do this saves so much time and energy in trying to figure out the right way to say things. All right. So the next thing we're going to talk about is going to be writing SOPs or standard operating procedures, which I know that we've touched on these videos about how important they are. And in the past, getting these done has been the biggest hurdle for people. But I'm getting ready to show you something that's going to blow your mind, probably, if you haven't done this before. We're going to write a standard operating procedure for installing a replacement window from start to finish. And you'll see how fast it's going to go versus having to have done it 100 times and written down and taken notes along the way and gone to the manufacturer's website or gone to the manufacturer's manual and taken notes out of it and taken this and taken that, this machine is going to do all that for you. So here we go. I'm going to type, please write an SOP for installing a vinyl double hung replacement window, start to finish. There you go. Start to finish. I'm not going to read this whole thing because it's long. But SOP vinyl double hung replacement window insulation. Purpose: to ensure safe, code compliant installation of vinyl double hung. This SOP applies to replacement windows installed in the existing window frame. Gives you all the tools required, the materials required, pre-installation checklist, removal of the existing window sashes, frame preparation, the installation of the new window, insulating it and sealing it, interior finishing, exterior sealing, operational checks and how to adjust, final inspection, clean up, how to document it, gives you some safety notes. Then it asks you, do you want to convert this to a one-page technician checklist so that if you're sending someone out who's never done it or only done a couple and you're not going to have a supervisor or yourself available to go to the job with them, you print that little checklist, you give it to them, and it gives them like a basically like a cheat card to help them get through the job. Now, this is just one example, and I thought of that on the fly. I didn't pre-plan what SOP I was going to make, but that just shows you right there. I typed 2 sentences, and I have a 6-page SOP, which means there's no reason in the world why you don't have SOPs for everything your company's doing. This just makes it so easy. Now, you should have experience and know, basically how the jobs go so that you can read them and make sure that there's nothing wrong. I know that some AI agents or LLMs that they're going to have errors and mistakes, and sometimes the wording is going to be wrong. So make sure you read them over and check them. But for the most part, they're 99% accurate. And we have written dozens and dozens of SOPs over the last few months, taken just this long. I believe, looking at the timer on the screen record, that was 2 minutes for me to type it and go over it with you quickly. So no reason not to be doing this in your business. All right, last thing I'm going to say about this, and this is a hack that I've kind of found surprisingly helpful, more so than I thought that it would have ever been. And what that is when you run into something that you don't know how to do or that you've never done, or a situation where you haven't seen it. I'm going to give you a specific example of one in a second. But I used to have to, I would say, oh, okay, I know Chris and he specializes in X, and I got this problem with X. Let me call Chris and say, hey, have you ever seen this situation where ABC happens and then this is going on? And if he doesn't know, then you're like, oh no. Then you have to ask him, hey, do you know anybody else who I could call to ask this question to? Or you go on Google and you look, or you go to everybody that you work with and you say, hey, we're having this problem. Is there any way you can help me figure this out? This is every one of those experts and every one of those people that you ever call and talk to in one place, all at once, with every answer that you need for the most part. So we just did a job. Well, I personally got sent to do an estimate at an apartment complex that got built in a 160-year-old tobacco warehouse. And they poured a new slab, but they left the footing in the exterior walls. And when they poured the new slab, they sealed that concrete, but they did not seal the existing concrete that was left there. So this lady in her apartment was having a problem with moisture coming up through the concrete. And I couldn't figure out why it was happening. And it was only happening around the edge. And there was a joint, but they had polished it all so that it looked the same. And I couldn't tell that that's where the footing was. So ChatGPT recommended to me to do this moisture test where I taped plastic over top of several different areas, including over top of just the edge. And what we figured out is they had treated the slab that they poured with a moisture block so that moisture could not wick through the concrete up into the building anymore, but they never treated the existing foundation. So even though that foundation was above grade outside and there was no pooling or puddling water, that concrete, being porous, was still allowing water to come in and beat up on the inside of the property when the temperature difference between inside and outside was such that the condensation made its way through the pores. Now, I just went on here and said, just like this, in that situation, I said, we have a footing in an old building that moisture is coming through, but not the slab. There is a joint. Why is this? And I hit that, and it's going to give me all these answers. And it even gives you diagrams and pictures of exactly what it is, what the different types are, and then it gives you pictures and you get to look at it. And then I looked at this and I figured out that this is it right here. Older slabs often have no vapor barrier under them or on top of them. And as it showed me these diagrams and I went through them, oh no, sorry about that. As I went through them, it showed me that the capillary action of the joint, what happens, that it's non-continuous, meaning that the slab was treated, but the footing wasn't. And after we did the test and it made sense to me, now I know I can tell my customer, here's what we need to do. We need to clean up that footing and we need to treat that footing with some type of topical treatment that will allow it to block the moisture from wicking through to solve the problem in their units. And I didn't know that. I'm not a concrete expert. I asked the person that we use to do all of our concrete work, and he basically told me that he had no idea, that he'd have to go take a look at it to figure it out, which I understand that you need to look at things to figure it out. But in a minute on ChatGPT, I solved the problem that a couple of people at my company had been spending days and hours and a lot of time trying to figure out. Now they did the hard work and they were out there and they were looking at it in the field and they ran that test for me. And, we had been bouncing some ideas off of each other, but finally it just hit me and I was like, well, let me just punch it in here and see what they say. And it gave me the answer. And it's mind blowing to me to think that you could replace experts on call with this. But if you can't get the answer in any other way, this right here is a good, quick, fast way to try to get the answer. Personally, what I would recommend is I would recommend going here first, asking it, and then calling your expert and saying, hey, this is a situation I have going on. It's this slab and this footing, and this is what I have, and I ran this test. Do you think that this is what it is? And the expert's going to say, yeah, that's definitely what it is. So you're just confirming that what it told you is correct. So again, I say, I understand that AI is not always right and ChatGPT is not always going to be right, but it's going to be right more than it's wrong. And as long as you verify it, read through it, and make sure the information that's given you is correct, you're going to be in a much better place, and it's going to save you a ton of time and a ton of money. No reason not to be integrating this stuff into your business. Thanks for watching. That's another video for Beyond the Estimates. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more.